Okay, we're moving on to question 2. This is under the Carnegie building. The purpose of this video is just to go through and answer question 2 from assignment 1 of the Carnegie building. The question says, prepare a pro forma operating statement through cash flow for the building's first 5 years of operations. That was what's originally in the book, but we're told to actually just do 3 years, so I cross out the 5. Assume rent increases of 2% per year and expense increases of 3% per year. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit, but we'll just take it one piece at a time and we'll get through it. Just like before, we're doing gross residential rent first. You take the amount of rent per month times 12 months to make it a year times number of units. So 625 times 12 months times 20 units equals 270,000. Plug that number right there in the top. Next, we're going to take our gross commercial rent per square foot times square feet. So we have $6 per square foot times 1,200 square feet for $72,000. Plug that number in there. And then we're going to get our gross income, which is our gross residential rent, adding those other numbers, the gross commercial rent, and any contributions or other income. Facts pattern don't give us any, so we get our $342,000 in gross income. Moving down, vacancy residential. This time, since we're in year 1, we're using what the fact pattern gave us, which is 20% in our first year. So we're going to take our gross residential rent, that $270,000, times it by the vacancy rate, which is 20%, 0.02, and that gives us $54,000 that we're going to be minusing out. So that's $54,000 in vacancy residential. Same thing with commercial residential. We take our commercial rent, this $72,000, times it by the number they gave us, which was 33.33%, basically a third, and we get $24,000 as our vacancy commercial. Okay, so then to get our effective gross rent, we take our gross income, our $342,000, we minus vacancy residential, and we minus our vacancy commercial, and we come up with our effective gross rent of $264,000. So you take your 264 and you plug it in there under year 1. Now our operating expenses were given in the introduction, again $120,000. That gets plugged in right there. Our net operating income, again one of the most important numbers you'll ever do in this whole thing. You take your effective gross rent, you minus your operating expenses and any reserve deposits. We don't have any reserve deposits, so we put a little dash there. But we get our $264,000 minus $120,000 for $144,000 net operating income gets plugged in right there. Now, I could go down further and do debt service and stuff, but what I'm going to do in this one is I'm going to go and fill out the years 2 and 3 one at a time, going down, just so that we're staying focused on where we're at. So to move up a year, we're told that we're to assume 2% rent. So we take our gross residential rent per year for the previous year and we add 2%. So that way of doing 270,000 times 1.02 equals 275,400. So I plug that number in right there for year 2. So our gross residential rent for year 2, 275,400. Same thing, we take the previous year, times it by, or add 1%, or times it by 1.02, and we get our 280,908. Plug that in there under year 3. We're moving down now, commercial rent. We're supposed to assume a 2%, and that applies not just to residential, but to residential and commercial. So it's the same thing. Take our previous gross commercial rent here, add 2%, or times it by 1.02, and we're going from 72,000 to 73,440. We plug that number there after year 2. Same thing, we take our previous year, the 73,400 we just got, we're adding 2%, so times 0.102, and we get 74,908. So we know our year 3 gross commercial rent is 74,900. Now we're not given any more contributions or other income, so we can start adding up our gross income. Gross income is you're going to add these two numbers. You're going to add the gross residential rent and all the gross commercial rent for the year. You add these together, you come up with 348,840. So you can plug that in under year 2. Same thing here. You take the year 3 numbers for gross residential rent and gross commercial rent, add them together, 280, 74, and you get 355,816. You can plug that number there under gross rent under year 3. Vacancy residential. This time we are looking at our gross residential rent. This is up here, the 275 for year 2, times it by the vacancy rate. Now this is not going to be 20%. It tells us that the stabilized rent is going to be 7%. So instead of just timesing it by 0.2, we're timesing it by 0.07, so our new vacancy rate. So we take this year 2 rent for gross residential rent, times it by 0.7, and we come up with 19,278. That's our year 2, and we can plug it in there. Same thing for year 3. We take our year 3 gross residential rate, times it by our new vacancy rate of 0.07, and we come up with 19,664. We can plug that in under year 3. For commercial, we're looking at year 2 commercial, 73,440, and we're times it by our new vacancy rate. Remember, it's not a 33 anymore. Now it's 10%. So we're taking our 73,440, timesing it by 0.1 equals our 7,344. So we're plugging 7.3 in right there under our vacancy commercial for year 2. Year 3, we take this year 3 number, we plug it in, times it by our new vacancy rate of 10%, 7,491 for year 3, plug it in right there. Effective gross rent, 300 is what we're going to do is take our gross income for year 2 minus the new vacancy in residential and commercial for year 2, and we come up with our 348,840 minus the 19,278 minus the 7,344 for 322,218, and so our new number right there gets plugged in under year 2. And for year 3, we take the same thing, our gross income minus this 19,600 minus the 17,500. So take the gross commercial rent minus these two numbers, 328,661. All right, we're starting to get filled in. Now, net operating expenses were assumed to go up 3% per year, so not 2% like the residential and commercial rents. Instead, operating expenses are going up 3% per year. So we take our $120,000, adding 3% or timesing it by 1.03 for 123,600. So our year 2 operating expenses get plugged in right there for 123,600. Same thing for the next year. We're going to take our second year operating expenses, or the previous year, adding 3% or timesing it by 1.03 for 127,308. That's our number for year 3 operating expenses, and we plug it in right there. Net operating income, we take the year 2 net effective gross rent, we minus this new operating expenses for year 2, and it comes up with our net operating income. So 322,218 minus 123,600, no reserve deposits, and we come up with 198,618. So that's our year 2 NOI, or year 2 net operating income. Same thing for the third year. We take our effective gross rent, the 328, minus the 127,308, and we come up with 201,353. That is our net operating income for year 3. All right, so we're starting to get this top part filled out. So now we've got to go look at the bottom. I'm just moving down this sheet a little bit, so you'll see net operating income, the 144, the 198, the 201 for years 1, 2, and 3. I'm just moved down the sheet. Now we're calculating debt service. Debt service, you'll remember, is the loan amount times the constant. So the loan amount is 1.836563, our constant, using the back of the book and the terms of the rate. Remember pages 89, 90, 91, we know is 0.084. We come up with our debt service of $154,271. This is what we're going to be paying our year on interest and principal on our loan amount. So our debt service is $154,271. Plug that in under year 1. Now, here's the thing. It's not really going to change because you're still going to be paying the same thing. It's just going to be the same loan amount times the constant. So year 2 is going to be the same thing. Plug it in there. Same thing with year 3. You're taking the same loan amount. You've got the same constant. You're making the same payments. So 154 goes in right there. Now, cash flow is determined based off your net operating income minus your debt service. So your NOI is moving around while your debt service is staying the same. That means that your net operating income is going to influence your cash flow. So for year 1, it's 144,000 minus 154. So you come up with a negative 10,271. Now it's written a couple different ways. I use the negative sign right here, the minus sign. Some people do it with a parentheses and then change the other side. It's really up to you. Just make sure you're consistent with it. but you can sometimes see parentheses to mean negative, or sometimes you'll see the negative, the minus symbol. So our first year negative cash flow is $10,271. For the next year, we just do the same thing. We take our net operating income minus our debt service. So that's going to be our $198,718 minus $154,271. But this time we get a positive cash flow of $44,347. All right, so that's a pretty big upswing. We've gone from negative 10,000 to positive 44. Last part, for year 3, we take our net operating income, the 201,000, we minus our debt service of 154,000, we come up with 47,082. So 47,000 gets plugged into there in cash flow. All right, so the question was, prepare a pro forma operating statement through cash flow for the building's first 3 years of operation. So this is kind of a condensed version, but this is what it looks like. You've now filled the whole thing in. You have cash flow, you have it from the top of the revenue all the way through cash flow for years 1, 2, and 3. And that completes question 2. Good job.